Hi everyone, today we're reviewing the Wnew parallel guides for the Festool guide rail. So I picked these up the other week and I've been long needing some parallel guides. If you're wondering what parallel guides are, they will attach to a guide rail and you can get them for all different brands, and they will basically allow you to take parallel repeatable cuts generally on sheet material. So these are very handy for something that I'm doing a lot of at the moment, which is building drawers. The frame of my drawers are 70mm, so what I need to do is just cut lots of strips of plywood in 70mm, and these will definitely speed up the productivity of making repeatable cuts. This is my first Wnew or Wnew, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, product. I've had a few woodworking products from AliExpress before. Most of them have been Enjoy Wood and I think Wnew as well. Overall, I would say that this is definitely comparable to the quality and the finish of those various brands. This is the 600mm version, and they do also sell an extension which will take it up to 1200mm. This is more enough for me because with parallel guides, I'm really using them to make small cuts. So it's very handy that you also get this extension rod. And if you're wondering what this does, this will allow you to take cuts basically as thin as you want, and it goes underneath the guide rail. Now this parallel guide, it's got a nice feature, and that is that it's got a laser etch, and this is stainless steel ruler. I've seen other ones that are just usually a plastic tape that is stuck on. So this is actually nice. You can feel the actual bite into the metal. You can tell it's been laser etched. So that's really nice. It's not going to rub off. Also, what I really do like about this scale is that it's calibrated for both uses. So as I said, when you are using this rod here, this is calibrated to the bottom scale, and it goes from 0, because you can take a cut at 0, and it goes obviously all the way up to, I think it is 52mm. And then when you are taking cuts bigger than 250mm, you reference the stock just of this arm here, and those numbers are shown on the top of the scale. So it's really nice that as long as you get it calibrated, you have both of those measurements and those use cases on the scale. Another thing I like about this, and it's a pet peeve of mine, of tools from AliExpress, especially stuff that is anodized. All of the nuts and bolts, they have plastic washers on them. So none of the anodized is going to get marked. And that always annoys me because so many tools I bought from AliExpress, they just have anodized rubbing against anodized, and it just rubs off straight away on first use, and it just makes it look not very nice. And if you're ever going to sell it in the future, it looks like it's been battered around. So this is going to stay in a really nice condition. That was a nice little touch. To get this set up and installed, it's very easy. All you want to do first of all is make sure you've got your extension rod on here, and we will set this to 0 on the scale, tighten it down, and then you want to loosen these two bolts here. And then what you want to do is just get a square, and you just want to make sure the face of this extension rod is perfectly in line with the cutting edge of the rubber on your guide rail. So just give it a few taps, and then once you've got it perfectly in line, you can go ahead and then you can tighten up these bolts again. So with that, you've now got this zeroed, and you shouldn't have to calibrate this again unless you drop this and obviously you knock it. But taking this on and off is not going to affect the position of these two bolts. So you can take it on and off, you only need to calibrate it once. Now the only thing that has really annoyed me about these parallel guides after using them for the last week is that when you are cutting thin stock, obviously the majority of the guide rail is going to be hanging off of the stock. It does mean that obviously you do need to get bits of scrap and just level it up. It's not too much of a problem, but I don't always have little bits of offcuts or scrap laying around. So what I've done is I've just made just a little pivoting support arm that you can set to the height that you need to make sure that your guide rail is going to be supported. You can use bits of wood, but I knew that straight away when I was making some cuts and I didn't have some extra plywood laying around, I had to go into my other shed and go and find some scrap bits of wood. I knew that, I wanted to solve the issue by just making this. I will include the 3D files if you want to take a look at it. You could probably make something like this out of wood, or you could 3D print it if you wanted. So let's talk about the accuracy of this parallel guide. And a lot of this is probably going to come down to making sure you've got it calibrated properly, you've got it set up. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to, first of all, take 2 strips, and I wanted to see how close they are. And then what we did is we took off the parallel guides, still keeping them at the same measurement, and then we put them back on and installed it, and then we took another cut, and then we also did a hand cut as well, just to see how bad my hand measuring is without parallel guides. Before I do that, I just want to take a quick pause and thank the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. They offer a huge range of services for makers and DIYers. They have a huge range of PCB services ranging from etching all the way up to full turnkey OEM. And they also offer a huge range of services such as 3D printing, CNC machining, injection molding, sheet metal bending, and many, many more. What's good is they offer low volume quantity orders, which is great for those one-off prototypes, so you don't need to order 100 of the same part. They offer very fast shipping to most countries as well, so be sure to check out PCBWay.com today. So we just start with the two repeatable cuts. This was set to 70 millimeters. I've got 69.92 at one end and 69.5. So we've got a variation of about 0.42, which I think is, you'd probably consider that within tolerance of making a hand cut. I think you'd probably be looking at sub 0.5 millimeters variation when you are using like machinery, but this is over 1.2 meter span. So yeah, I'd consider that pretty good. The next cut was 70.13 and 70.32. So again, we've got a variation of about, 0.2, and they're both within 0.5 of that 70 millimeter measurement, which I would consider that as good. So then we obviously took off the parallel guides, put them back on, and we took another cut, and I got 69.1 and 69.57. So there is definitely a little bit of a variation once you have taken them on and off. So I wanted to investigate that a little bit closer and just have a look at the clamping mechanism for the guide rail. And I noticed that there is, as you would probably expect, there is a little bit of slop, obviously in the bar that sits in the guide rail, but then also there is an additional little bit of play in the holes that these bolts screw into. I took out my indicator and I just wanted to measure how much slop there actually is in this clamping mechanism. It's about 0.2 to 0.3. So yeah, I think taking it on, taking it off again, you just got to be careful of how you are locking these back down. Try and make sure that you're pulling against the guide rail to make sure it is always referencing and maybe against a certain edge of the guide rail. Now I noticed as well is that once you clamp down one end of the bar, it will allow it to pivot very, very slightly, like 0.1 to 0.2 millimeters, and you can actually lock it down in any of those positions. Now, I know these are all just very, very small measurements, are probably not really that much of an issue for a woodworker. If we take a look at the hole in this bracket and the thumb screw, I think there's definitely room for improvement in this design. I think that this could be partially threaded to go into the clamping bar, and I think this top section of the screw could maybe be like a locating pin, so it will fit perfectly in the hole for this bracket. And that is honestly something that I could probably make on the lathe, and I might do it in the future. Again, this is probably not that much of an issue for a woodworker. I just enjoy chasing hundredths of a millimeter with my tools and try to improve the accuracy of things. So it'd be interesting to hear from you if you think that this is an issue for a woodworker, and if maybe making like half of this bolt a locating pin would improve things. And then lastly, I wanted to just compare it to the way that I've been doing it for all these years, which is just measuring it with a tape measure or a square, and then marking the points and taking a cut. So I was being really careful with this. I'm usually probably not that cautious when I'm measuring this and making a cut. With my hand measured cut, I've got 69.68 on one end and I've got 71.59. Yeah, we're close to like 2 millimeters over 1.2 meters here. Parallel guides are, as you would expect, they are going to be more accurate than doing it by hand. And then also you've got the efficiency increase because you can quickly make the cuts because you've got it repeatable. So overall, I'm very happy with these parallel guides. These are around about £90 at the moment on AliExpress. And if you take a look at what else is out there, I was looking at the Bench Dogs ones, which are probably going to be, I don't know, they're probably going to be calibrated in some ways because a lot of Bench Dogs products are, but they are £200 plus. If you look at Festool's own parallel guide system, I think that is over £200 as well. I think Woodpeckers and TSO, they also have, they're American based, they have parallel guides for the Festool. And again, I think all of those are over £200. You know, this is much, much cheaper and it does the job. I can't really see what else I would need from a set of parallel guides. So hopefully you enjoyed this review. I'll put links to the AliExpress products page where you can take a look at this. But that's it for today. I'll catch you all later.